Professional Floor Covering welcomes you to the next segment of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, presented by Professional Floor Covering and Abbey Design Center at 713 Park Ave in Beaver Dam. Go to PROFLR.com. It is locally owned. Randy and his team are here to help you design the perfect space. Over 1,000 samples of carpet, LVP, hardwood, tile, area rugs, and window furnishings. It's so much more than floors. Wide selections of kitchen and bathroom countertops, cabinets, tile, shower inserts, and more. They also do cabinetry. You want your kitchen cabinetry to not only look beautiful, but to last for years to come. Partner with top brands to offer unrivaled quality and craftsmanship. From traditional to modern cabinets, their cabinetry team is here to help inspire and create your dream kitchen. Here is Terry Bell on Community Comment.
Thank you very much, Ashley. We are joined today by State Representative Andrew Hysell, Democrat of Sun Prairie. We'll be talking about some legislation he's been involved with and things happening at the state capitol in general. If you have a question or comment for Representative Hysell, we invite you to join the program by calling or texting 920-887-9595 or give us a call on the studio line at 885-4446. And speaking of the studio line, that's where Representative Hysell joins us this morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Terry. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great, thanks.
The last time we spoke, we were talking about your legislation that would, and correct me if I'm wrong, it would require retailers of a certain size to have to list on receipts how much of that total is going to tariffs. Tariffs being obviously a very timely topic, and the United States has been adding the cost of tariffs to a lot of different items, especially those that we import. So tell us where we're at with that bill, please.
Sure, yeah. So the Tariff Tax Transparency Act that I introduced would require large retailers selling products in Wisconsin to provide on the receipt or invoice a breakdown of any tariff tax that's been assessed to the item. So you would see your sales tax, you would see tariff tax. And that bill basically is in response to the fact that we now have the highest level of tariffs since 1933. And these are being paid by American consumers. Goldman Sachs has said that this year in the United States, the average family is going to be paying $2,400 extra for these taxes. And if they're not listed on the receipt, they're hidden. But a hidden tax is still a tax.
Yeah, the goal of tariffs ostensibly is to discourage importing of foreign goods or make it harder for other countries to bring products into this country and encourage the manufacture of those items here in the United States. But things get a bit more complicated than that when it comes to how that's applied in what we like to call the real world.
Yeah, I would say, is that really what tariffs are for? I would raise that question because if you raise a tariff and it's paid by the consumer, but you're hiding it from them, somebody domestically, let's say that there is a domestic producer for that item, which is an if, because sometimes there's not, but let's say there is. If the tariff isn't disclosed to you as the consumer on your receipt, the domestic producer is free to raise their price just under the tariff price that the importer's paying. So I would just say, if you're serious about protecting domestic manufacturers, then you need to disclose these tariffs so consumers can buy domestic-made items and not pay the exact same amount because somebody's taking advantage of the hidden nature of the tariffs, if that makes sense.
Right. And what happens is instead of just saying, oh, no, I guess we'll have to just, pay more in the tariffs, that cost gets passed along to consumer. That's what ultimately happens.
In a for-profit system, companies aren't in the business of losing money. So if the government, the United States federal government under Trump, is going to tax products, they're going to make the consumer pay. Who else is going to pay it?
Now, there's been a little bit of pushback for this. The Wisconsin Grocers Association has put out a statement, and this is an argument that we've heard before, that this will just add more cost to the cost of doing business, and in effect, to sort of inadvertently raise prices more. I imagine you have a response to that.
Yeah, they put out that statement, in part said, don't like this bill because complying with it, essentially us having to tell the customer what the tax increase is under the tariff is going to cost extra money. And my response was, okay, well, what about the tariff? I mean, if we have a 30% tariff on coffee coming from roasters in Canada right now, you can't tell me that the cost of complying with this is a 30% increase in the cost of the coffee. So I actually had an opportunity to meet with them. They came in, which I appreciated, and they sat down with me and explained, the grocery business and all the many items they work with, they work on very small profit margins, and a lot of grocers tend to be Wisconsin state businesses. So I really appreciated them coming in. We had a conversation about it. And and I just pointed it out. I'm like, according to Market Watch, a study that they just published a story on a study where consumers, when they're not informed about where the price increases are coming from, they blame the retailer. So in the end, if this Tariff Transparency Tax Act, the Tariff Tax Transparency Act receives a hearing in committee, I look forward to working with the grocers to strengthen it. At the same time, companies like Amazon, Target, and Costco, they can disclose this information. Amazon was going to do it until they were threatened by the Trump administration. And I went down the street to my local coffee shop, and he owns one little coffee shop. He orders small batches on DHL of coffee from different countries. He knows exactly how much the tariff from Canada is. He said, instead of my usual, $500 order coming in at $500, there's an extra $150 because of a tariff. Plus, DHL charges $50 to file the tariff tax with the federal government. He's like, I can't order coffee from Canada anymore because I can't charge somebody an extra $2.50 for a cappuccino. So the idea that these are real taxes, they're hitting consumers, and retailers can disclose them. And I think that's the moral of the story, and I'm sticking to it.
We're talking with State Representative Andrew Hysell of Sun Prairie about legislation in the Capitol that affects us all over Wisconsin. We're going to take a break here and be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Good.
These are the happenings in your community. Thank you for joining this edition of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge, presented by Professional Floor Covering.
Welcome back to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV. Here is Terry Bell.
Thank you, Ashley. We are joined by State Representative Andrew Hysell of Sun Prairie today, talking about legislation and different matters that affect us out in Wisconsin. If you have a question or a comment for Andrew, please text us or call us at 920-887-9595. Or give us a call here on the studio line at 885-4446. Well, Andrew, just like anything, seems like the cost of everything is going up these days, and that includes health insurance. And you're behind a bill to look into whether or not maybe Wisconsin ought to be shopping around for more affordable health insurance for teachers and school staff in Wisconsin.
Yes, I mentioned this last month on your show, but we actually did drop the bill, a bill I authored with Senator Jamie Wall of Green Bay. The bill basically requires the states to study the feasibility, the costs, and the savings of creating a statewide pool for school employees for health insurance. And the idea is to save us money and provide better benefits for school employees, which can be done through scale, through taking risk and spreading it out over a large population as a way to drive down premiums and costs. So it's a proverbial win-win for the taxpayer and for teachers and school employees.
Wisconsin, as I understand it, is regularly regarded as one of the best states in the country when it comes to public employee benefits. What do you think we could be doing better?
Really? Well, I think that may not apply to teachers anymore. Mm-hmm. Give you an example. In Columbus, I have families in my district, the 48th Assembly District, that attend the Columbus school system. The average teacher salary is $55,000 roughly. Their family deductible and maximum out-of-pocket expenditures for their teacher health insurance plan is $13,700. So your average teacher's gross pay is under $56,000, but they could be on the hook for, after taxes, $13,700 per year. Let me strike that. That's just the deductible. It doesn't include the premium. They pay another $4,000 in the premium. So a teacher in the Columbus School District could pay almost $18,000 a year for health care. And they're making less than $56,000 gross. So the idea that teachers have really generous health insurance plans is inaccurate. We're looking at situations like this in districts around the state, and not only are they paying more and getting less coverage, but the taxpayers are footing the bill. So this idea, again, is if you take all these teachers, all these school employees, and you put them in one giant pool, and you have the state negotiate rates like they do with the state employees, because they're all in the pool, you're going to get better coverage at a lower cost. The teachers benefit, the taxpayer benefits. Again, it's a win-win.
How big of a pool are we talking about? I imagine you take all the public schools, teachers and staff in Wisconsin, and you've got some real negotiating power.
Exactly. You have some real negotiating power. But to be prudent, right, instead of just jumping in head first, the ETF is going to do this actuarial study, and they're going to actually look at the potential costs, the potential challenges, as well as the potential savings, so that before we create such a pool, we would know what would happen. So it's the first step. It's a meaningful step. And again, I think before policymakers jump into stuff, it's always good to look first.
I may be guilty of having this misunderstanding, as you mentioned, but and I think a lot of people in general, public probably also are of the understanding that school teachers and employees belong to the same ETF system as a lot of other state government employees. Set the record straight for me, please.
Yeah, they don't. School districts have to go, they have to fend for themselves. And school districts have a lot to deal with. They have to educate the children. They have to, they have to ensure that they're complying with the law. They have a lot of different things to do today because of steps that were taken good 15, 20 years ago. They also have to negotiate teacher health insurance and employee health insurance. And if you have a small district with not a lot of employees and somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, God forbid, you literally may have to change your insurance because your rates the following year will go through the roof. Small school districts especially really have a hard time negotiating good deals because they're insuring such a small group of people. So again, I think it's a really common sense idea, and we need everything we can right now in the battle to keep healthcare costs down because they continue to spiral up across the board for everybody.
You mentioned the cost to these employees and also to taxpayers. You also make the case that this is affecting teachers' ability to be mobile in their careers.
I think it's really hard to retain teachers I met a teacher in Dodgeville at an education listening session. Dodgeville is not in my district, but I met with them because they're really struggling there to try to fund their schools. They've tried to pass 2 referendum and they failed both times. And I'm talking to a teacher who's 39 years old. He's been teaching 10 years. He makes $51,000 a year, and his insurance benefits are extremely expensive. And I'm talking to him, and he's like, every year I have to sit with my wife, and I have to decide whether I'm going to be a teacher for another year. And to me, the teaching profession is an honorable profession. People are paid less than they would make in the private sector, and they deserve, at a minimum, good benefits, good health insurance, and good retirement. And this bill is one of the steps that we need to take as a legislature to provide that, to ensure that.
Sure. So I guess really what it affects perhaps more is employees fleeing small school districts that don't have the negotiating power to keep costs down, going to the bigger districts that perhaps, where they can negotiate a better rate.
Or leaving the profession.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of districts struggle to retain teachers. So they train them up, they spend time getting them up to speed, and then they have to leave because they can't afford to raise a family on a salary. They maybe go to a bigger district, like you just stated. Either way, it's not a good outcome under the current system. So it's really, we need to be doing things proactively now to address this situation.
Where is the bill right now in the process?
Well, it's been referred to committee, and we'll just have to wait to see if we can get a hearing.
Okay, very good. We are talking to State Representative Andrew Hysell about things happening in the state legislature that affect us back here in the district. We're going to take a quick break here for the news, then be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. This is Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV. I'm Terry Bell, and we are joined today by State Representative Andrew Hysell. Andrew, can you hear me? Andrew, can you hear me?
All right, it looks like we lost him, Terry, here recently, so we are going to go ahead and call him back. So we'll go ahead and go to an early break here.
Very good. We will be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV.
Step into a world so fine, shiny floors that truly shine, tiles and wood you'll adore, get it all at Professional Floor. Showers, blinds, counters too, everything just like brand new. They've got what you're looking for, only here at Professional Floor.
Okay, full disclosure, we still don't sing here, but since I've got the mic, let me drop some knowledge. At Professional Floor Covering, we've got the best brands and styles for every project. Whether you're looking for cabinets, blinds,
When the really cold weather rolls in, you'll want your home cozy.
on the Dodge County landscape, we keep the inside of your home looking great. Professional Floor Covering welcomes you to the next segment of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to Community Comment. We do have the representative back on the line. Here is Terry Bell.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and thanks for all your efforts, you and Jake, to get us back on the air. And Andrew, sorry about that. These things happen on live radio from time to time.
Hey, no problem, Terry. It happens.
Well, you're a good sport.
I know your numbers. I could call back, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We do appreciate it. And thanks again for being so patient. We have seen in recent years a proliferation of hemp and THC products, and they're part of the selling point is how safe they're supposed to be. But apparently there's a loophole in the law that is getting some products that are not necessarily all that safe into the marketplace. You've introduced the bill to close that loophole. Tell us more about that, please.
Well, let me
let me correct something you just said there.
Sorry about that. Yes.
No, it's okay, Jay. Hey, so this is the deal. I'm a strong proponent of legalization of cannabis. I have been for a very long time. I believe that, as we've seen in other states, there's a lot of people that want to consume it responsibly, adults. And to do that, if we legalize it in the states and we have a system to ensure safety, the correct potency, and that children are protected from it, it makes a lot of sense. Not only will it give people something they want, but it also will provide a lot of tax revenue for the state, which is something that obviously everybody says we seem to need. I would say that what you're talking about is these hemp-derived products. In 2018, the Farm Bill essentially allowed certain hemp products to be produced and sold. And under that federal law, in the state of Wisconsin, there's farmers, processors, and actually companies that are making products, gummies, lotions, tinctures, and even these hemp-derived THC drinks that are using hemp and falling within the Farm Bill, but also providing products that have the intoxicating effect associated with THC. So it's like, while cannabis is illegal, hemp in the state of Wisconsin, hemp is legal, and we have a proliferation of small Wisconsin businesses and farmers that are making products that are being sent around the country to other states. It's remarkable the growth in the industry in just a few years. There's a bill was introduced by Representative Brill that would ban all of those products. It would make it illegal to provide intoxicating hemp-derived products to anyone, regardless if they're adults or not, and I absolutely oppose that bill.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for getting us clear. What are you hearing about kind of the unintended consequences of some of these products being out there in the marketplace?
Well, I think there's a lack of understanding of what they are. I know consumers. I know bar owners that are selling these drinks now, and they account for somewhere up to 20% of their sales. So consumers are purchasing these, and what I see is bars and liquor stores and other stores that sell, for example, these hemp-derived THC drinks, they card their customer. They buy it from companies that have COAs, which attest to the product's potency and safety, and it's something that people want. And if adults can use it responsibly, which they can, it should be legal. I believe in individual freedom. I believe people should make choices about what they want to do and not have government telling them what they can't do. Obviously, I do think you can't count on the private sector just to police themselves. I think we need to pass a bill, and I will support a bill that protects children, ensures age identification so that if you do have any bad actors out there, they follow the law. And I also will support a bill to protect consumers so that we know products are safe and they have the potency that's on the label. So I support that, but I do not support a ban on these products, and it's severely misguided, and it's honestly, it's being proposed by a Republican, Rep. Brill, and I'm just like, what about people's freedom? What about people's right to make choices for their own lives? It just seems ironic, to say the least.
Wisconsin is a bit of an island, too, when it comes to these laws, and it would seem that the law being applied consistently from state to state would be helpful, especially in those communities that border other states.
Yeah, so again, cannabis, which is different than hemp, they're very similar, but it's different, is illegal in Wisconsin. Total abolition. Big mistake. Doesn't make any sense. 100% because of the Republican majority in the Assembly that this has not been legalized well. Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota have all legalized, and they're literally collecting tax revenue from our residents. So that's the issue that we're dealing with. We've been dealing with. This is a separate issue, but it also involves the THC products. It's just they're coming from a different source that's legal. Again, I really think we should legalize cannabis. We should regulate it. We should make it available to adults who want to use it. And we should also, for these hemp-derived products, protect children and protect consumers, but not ban it and not
put restrictions on it that put Wisconsin. We have 400 active Wisconsin hemp farmers with licenses currently as of last year. I've met one of them. He's a small little farmer. This guy's in his 30s, and he raises hemp. He harvests it. He brings it to a local microbrewery where first he actually processes it to pull out the cannabinoids, including THC. He brings it to a local microbrewery. They make him hemp-derived THC drinks, and then he goes to local small businesses and he sells them. He's the quintessential small business person, and he's providing products that people want in a really responsible fashion. And he should not be put out of business by Brill's bill. That is just not okay. And at the same time, this guy should be allowed to continue to do what he's doing as long as he's following the rules of protecting consumers and protecting children.
Right. So it sounds like Brill's bill would be maybe, in essence, throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
It would just be it'd be prohibition. It'd be like if we banned alcohol and we said, hey, we know alcohol has some, harmful effects. Well, if you drink responsibly and you don't drink and drive, and let's say you drink to an excess and you hurt your health, it's your choice. And obviously if you want help, you can get help. But at the end of the day, for government to sit around and tell people what they can and can't do is not good. It's not something we should be promoting. So, that's my position.
We are talking to State Representative Andrew Hysell of Sun Prairie. We need to take a break right here, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV.
Covering can't wait to connect with our friends through today's community comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV. Here is Terry Bell.
Thank you, Ashley. We're talking to State Representative Andrew Hysell of Sun Prairie. If you'd like to join the conversation, if you have a question or a comment, come on in. 920-887-9595 is our call or text line, or you can call the studio at 885-4446. Andrew, you're a busy man. You've got a meeting to get to right after we get off the air here.
I do. I'm going to the Assembly Committee on the Judiciary, and it's going to be a really fun, exciting committee hearing for me. You're probably like, why would that be exciting or fun? Well, let me tell you, Terry, it's fun and exciting because I've been appointed the ranking member on the committee, which is a real honor. It's a responsibility that I appreciate being given by our leader Neubauer. In this role, I'll be one of only two freshman members in the Assembly that are ranking members on a committee. So I really excited about it. I understand the importance of it. And, so I'm going to that meeting in 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, we'll get you there on
Terry,
time.
I had to be here to be on your show. So
well, we appreciate it. We'll get you there on time for sure. Okay. When we watch television, the Judiciary Committee in Congress in Washington, we hear from them quite a bit. I guess, what kind of responsibilities does the judiciary have in the Wisconsin legislature?
Sure, yeah. So the way it works, bills are drafted. There's people, different members of the legislature will sign on as co-sponsors, and then they're referred to committees, subject matter committees. And the committee really is an opportunity for the public to come in and weigh in on stuff. So today we're going to have folks come in from the Wisconsin Bar Association. We're going to have folks come in from the ACLU. We're going to have some law enforcement organizations come in to testify on different bills before the committee. So it's a chance for me to hear directly from Wisconsinites and Wisconsin stakeholder organizations and ask them questions. It's a really great process for trying to get a sense of what people think of these bills. Because if you just read them in isolation without input, it only tells half the story.
And judiciary in particular. So, what sorts of subject areas will you be hearing about, and helping shape?
Yeah. So today we have some bills that are kind of technical in nature. Things that you might laugh, actually, that we're having a bill on this, but it's something we have to do. Right now, you can only use Arial fonts for legal notices, and we're going to talk about expanding that to other fonts. Very important. That being said, we do have some other stuff that is pretty important. One is increasing the penalty for somebody who pretends to be a police officer. From a Class A misdemeanor to a Class I felony. And you hear about this sometimes, and it's really concerning, and you want to make sure people don't do this. We've got another bill that we're going to be hearing on about, this is one I'm a little concerned about. It raises court fees. So the fees that you as a citizen have to pay to access the legal system, they're proposing to raise them substantially. And another way of referring to a court fee is a tax. So again, this is a bill being proposed only by Republicans, and it's raising everybody's fees or taxes, which is a big thing for me. Tax transparency, whether it be the federal tariffs, whether it be the fact that you're paying indirectly money to private voucher schools out of your local property taxes. All these things are taxes you're paying, but they're not really being disclosed to you. And court fees, here we go again. Let's triple some of these court fees. Anything that affects like regular people by increasing their costs, I find very concerning. And so I'm going to be asking some questions today about what's going on here. Because again, I don't know why we just keep raising prices on people.
Since the last time we talked, the field in the race for Wisconsin governor has expanded quite a bit. By my last count, there were 9 people running, 3 Republicans and 6 Democrats, and there will probably be more. You endorsed Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez early in the process. Has anything happened since then that would change your mind?
No, I still support Sarah. Like I said, I was going to. I think we have a lot of good options. Kelda Royce, senator here in Madison and Dane County, is such a strong advocate for important issues like public education, reproductive health care choices. I'm really impressed with her. Francesca Hong, who's my colleague in the state assembly, she's amazing. She's such a strong advocate for the average worker and the average person in Wisconsin over special interests. And she's got the most interesting social media. She's another great candidate. There's a bunch of really good candidates. I support Sarah Rodriguez because she's got experience working as lieutenant governor, and she's got a really strong, compelling story, both in the experience in both the public and private sector. And I think she'd be a great executive.
I would guess the wild card in this situation so far is we have not yet heard from Attorney General Josh Kaul. He's long been speculated to want to run this time, but we haven't heard from him yet. Do you see or hear anything that would lead you to believe that he's made his mind up one way or the other?
I have not. I feel the same way. I'm really curious myself. Josh Kaul has done a great job as our Attorney General. He takes the lead on litigation that other states join with Wisconsin. He fights for our interests, and I think he'd be an amazing candidate too. I really, what feels good to me about the Democratic field is we have so many good options. It's like we're suffering from an excess of good candidates, and he'd be a great one too. So, but it remains to be seen. Answering your question, I do not know. He's won statewide twice. I think he'd be formidable if he entered the race.
So, shifting focus back to the district, what opportunities do your constituents have to meet you and talk to you?
Well, I've been going door to door. They're called constituent doors, and I love them. It's one of the best parts of the job. It sounds strange, but as soon as they realize I'm not trying to sell them a roof, it becomes a good conversation. I'm joking, but they get some of the people in my district get solicited for a lot lawn care treatments and roofs.
Sure.
But once I get past that, it's great because I get to hear directly from the people that have sent me to represent them what they want. I have got the best feedback. Like one constituent, she said, "Hey, my HOA, my homeowners association bans all political signs, and I feel like I own my house, I own my lawn. I should be able to put up a sign for a month for a school board candidate or whatever." And I said, "Yeah, that makes sense." So I'm actually working on a bill to deal with that because it's a First Amendment issue. I think if you own property, why can't you put up a sign for your local school board member for a month? You could regulate maybe the size of it and how long it's up, but you can't ban it. That's a First Amendment issue. I got that idea because I knocked on somebody's door in Bristol, which is part of the 48th Assembly District, and I would say that's what I'm doing. So if someone's knocking at your door, just answer it. I'll tell you who I am, and then if you have anything you want to tell me, also I leave cards behind so people can send stuff in. But yeah, that's something I'm doing right now to try to give people a chance to have their voice heard.
I would have to think the going door to door is a good opportunity. There's a lot of talk about, how little people take part in the process. So, if people aren't going to go out to the opportunities to interact with their lawmaker, have the lawmaker come to you.
Yeah, and it is supposed to be public service. I mean, I'm not here in a country club. I'm supposed to be serving the public. So I feel I owe it to my constituents to go to them. They obviously can come to me. I have an office anytime they want, set up an appointment, want to do a phone call, whatever, or they can send me a letter. But if I also feel like it's part of it is I need to go to them. And I honestly, talking to people, I ran into another woman who said, Tariff Transparency Act, thank you for doing that. She said, getting my coffee, it's a 3-pound bag of organic coffee at Costco for years. In 1 month, it went from $10 to $15. And she's like, and I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't Costco. I'm sure that Costco's not decided they're going to make money off your coffee with that kind of an increase. I believe that's probably these tariffs because coffee's getting taxed right now through these tariffs at a really high rate. Hearing that from her reaffirmed that this is a good thing that I'm doing. And so sometimes I hear that, sometimes I get new ideas, sometimes I get constructive feedback or criticism, and I love to hear that too, because you can only do a better job if people are honest with you and sometimes maybe point out things that you haven't seen or taken into account.
State Representative Andrew Hysell of Sun Prairie. We want to get you to your Judiciary Committee meeting on time. So thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. It's been time well spent.
Oh, Terry, I love it. I really appreciate this, and thanks for having this show.
Absolutely. You've been listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Helpful phrases for modern living. Tape 1.